Welcome to this delicious autumn-inspired video. It is autumn here in the Southern Hemisphere, in case you did not know, and I love me some autumn vibes. It is almost my birthday. My birthday's on the 8th of May. I share a birthday with Katniss Everdeen, and I could not be more excited for the fact that it is my birthday coming up. As a little treat to myself, because this is a fun video to make, I would like to share with you some witchy as fuck oracle decks that are honestly like mwah, chef's kiss. They each have that gorgeous essence of witchcraft buried within them without being overtly witch. So you wouldn't look at these decks and say, witchcraft. What you will get, however, is this deep core of witchy energy to each of these decks. And this little touch of magic to each one of them because of just how yummy, how truly yummy they are. So, without further ado, I would like to share with you my non-obvious witchy oracle decks that I just think that you are going to love as much as I love. Now, please keep in mind this is a tiny, tiny portion of my collection, and I would like to do more of these videos in the future. So I don't know how many decks I have to show you. I should have counted, but we shall proceed, okay? We're going to start off strong with an oracle deck that was created by a witch, one of my favorite public, professional, if you will, witches. And that is Fiona Horn, and I'm talking about the Magic of You Oracle. Now, here is a deck that holds this deep ancestral, blood-linking kind of magical energy. It is like if this deck had a scent, an aroma, it would be petrichor, for sure, without a doubt. And just the type of reading that it gives you is so profoundly transformative. It is the magic of you for a reason. It focuses entirely on you, the person, and it gets you really dismantling this cagey kind of shadow energy that has kept you locked down and quite restricted for some time. This is a beautifully transformative oracle deck that is an amazing companion to a tarot deck as well. You can team this up with tarot and it gives you a banger reading, okay? So that is the Magic of You Oracle by the lovely Fiona Horn, who is a personal witchy hero of mine. I have been following Fiona Horn since I was in my late teens, if you can believe that. So she is an OG 90s witch, I've got to say. And she's done books, she's done oracle decks, but this one here is one of my absolute favorites, and I've just recently pulled it out to be on my reader's table, so I had to show it. The next deck that I have for you is lighter and yet purposeful in nature. I'm talking about the Connected and Free Alchemist Oracle by Inner Hue, who is run by Lauren Aletta. This is another Australian brand. Fiona Horn was Australian for the Magic of You Oracle, and Lauren Aletta is Australian as well. So it just goes to show that Australia puts out some really beautiful creations. Anyway, back to the deck. The Connected and Free Alchemist Oracle, when it was first released, took the world by storm. It is so refreshing. It's like soda and lime refreshing, as in like sparkly and vivacious, but it has this pull to it, and this pull is quite deep, it's quite eccentric, it's quite colorful, but it's deeply self-exploratory, if that makes sense. This feels like the flower and the stem, but not the roots, because the roots are hidden. And it's within that kind of flower stem, hidden roots, that you experience the magic of this beautiful, beautiful deck. It is one of those inspirational kinds of decks, and I use that term very, very carefully because inspo decks aren't really my thing. However, I like the way that this deck will help you to open up new possibilities so that you can be inspired. You can sort of like elevate your hope and find, locate, visualize, bring into being these new opportunities, these new ideas, these beautiful creative ideas that will help you to move forward and live a really bold and beautiful life. This is such a beautiful deck to work with, and it has so much energy and essence and wisdom to offer. It's just a fantastic deck to work with, and I cannot recommend it enough. This one sits on my reader's table semi-permanently for a very, very good reason. It is Avalon stamped approval. Did that come out right? It has Avalon stamp of approval. Wow, today's not like the best communication day for me. Let's just go with that. The next Oracle deck that I'm about to show you is low-key one of my favorites. I come back to it at least once a year, which is saying a lot because I have a very big collection of tarot and Oracle decks. So I want to show you this one because she's tiny. I love her. Do you recognize the backing? If you've been here for a minute, you might recognize the backing. This is the Earthbound Oracle. I believe it's by Skull Garden. Look at these images. It's a bare kind of earthy, with a touch of air kind of a deck. It's extremely, extremely creative. It's beautiful. The artwork is absolutely gorgeous. There is just something about this deck that gives it like you need it, which sounds a little spicy, but it's a vibe. This tiny, tiny deck, I've got to say, it is small. Like, it's so tiny, like compared to, let's say, the Magic of You Oracle, we are talking a size difference that is significant here. Like, tiny, tiny, tiny. And I love it because it fits beautifully in my tiny little hand, which is just such a vibe. It's such a vibe. The artwork is, oh, it's so gorgeous. The cardstock is waxy. It's kind of matte and it's so yummy to work with. They did a tarot deck as well, by the way, which is chef's kiss. Chef's kiss, okay? But this one here, it speaks of, I think Raven energy when I see this deck and I get to work with this deck. I think Raven and book and apothecary, you know, that vibe. It's got such an interesting energy to it because of the way that it likes to deliver this beautifully artistic message to you, like two-headed snake, deceit. And it looks like an albino snake or an albino snake, depending on who you are. We have like lily for release. Like, it's very well thought out. It's quite beautiful. We have a rabbit's foot, bit ghastly, but a rabbit's foot for luck. It's been very well thought out. Being hunted with spears for fear. Then we have like growth. Look at this beautiful card. Like, the energy of this deck is old world witchcraft on a sunny day. And I've got to say that because sometimes things feel daylight, sometimes they feel nighttime. This is a daylight witchy deck, if that makes sense. I'm neurodivergent, so I express my feelings in various different ways. So please be patient with me as I try to explain to you just how freaking witchy this deck is, okay? So that is the Earthbound Oracle. She's beautiful, she's necessary. If you ever get to find yourself a copy of this, I think this was self-published. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I've had it for a very long time. My hope is that it is still out, it is still available, and that you should all try to get your hands on one because this one is just, it's so good. It's just so good, okay? I'll leave it there. It's just so good. The next deck that I'm going to show you is the Citadel Oracle. This is the box, and I wanted to show the deck in the box because she's a vibe. Look at that. Just look at that. Sometimes it's these little touches that make a deck really great. Okay, can we just check out the shape? Look at the shape of this deck. First and foremost, we've got an epic shape. Then we have some like, oh my gosh, spot glossing. The craftsmanship of this deck speaks for itself, but the energy of it, it feels so witchy. Some of these cards like Vengeance, Overcoming Slights, a Choice. Look at that. Like, stop it. Then we have Founder, Foundations, and Community. Like, this is a very life-oriented and appropriate kind of deck. It really makes you feel like you're grounded in the now while also exploring deeper meanings for each of the messages in this beautiful deck. There is such a joy to using this one. It's unique. It has a really fresh and vibrant energy for a deck that feels very witchy. And I think one of the core fundamental aspects that links all of the decks that I'm going to show you today together is that they have a transformative quality to them. An alchemistic transformative quality. I can't speak today. Why try? Let's just show you this beautiful, oh, that's upside down. Some of these are, as it turns out. Some of these are the Assassin vibes, the Adventurer, such a vibe. Oh. The Waker, the Tailor, the Smith, this deck was such a joy. I purchased this deck with my own money. Most of these decks I have actually. So I'm showing you decks that I have invested in myself. And I've got to say, this is one of the ones that I have had. It's one of my newer decks, to be honest. One of the newer ones that I purchased. I think it was last year. I did do an unboxing of this. If I can find it, I will link it somewhere here. But I've got to say that when I saw this deck, I knew I needed to have it just for the shape. I don't have a deck that is this shape. Needless to say, I received the deck and now I'm 100% in love with it for the simple fact that it gives what it needs to give and then some. It's witchy to its core because it's sassy. It reminds me of people in my life, and that is always a good thing. This next deck is seldom far away from me. I don't know why. I haven't reached for it in a while, but it needs to be close to me. Okay, and I'm speaking of this one right here. Do you recognize it from the backing? Some of you might, some of you might not. This is the Woodland Wardens Oracle by Jessica Rue, and it is a animal and botanical, I should say, based deck. See? And there is this beautiful marriage between animal and botanical, and the guidebook firmly sort of describes all of this to you, but it's very woodland forest. It's very earthy. It's very folk witch. It's very green witch. It has such a beautiful energy to it, and it gives such an interesting reading. Interesting being the operative word here, because every time I have chosen this particular deck to give me a reading, I've always been in a situation in my life where I need kind of grandmotherly almost advice, or at least cool auntie advice, and she has never disappointed. And she'll pull out themes that have nothing to do with the core of the question, and yet are interestingly linked to that question and has me sort of thinking outside of the box. I don't typically gravitate too much towards animal-based decks. I love animals, I appreciate animals, but I don't necessarily like animal-focused decks, except for this one here. This is the exception to the rule for me. The artwork is utterly exquisite. I cannot fault it. It has a deep, moody, witchy, forest, enchanted vibe to it. There is an earthiness to this that she shares with the Earthbound Oracle, in fact. They feel a little similar in their energies. But what a beautiful deck. What a great working deck. You can get so much out of this deck. It pairs beautifully with tarot, as most of these decks do, but on its own, you can do a really, really beautiful reading with it, and that's saying a lot. This next deck was actually sent to me by Blue Angel, and I'm so glad that they did send this to me. I have been sent a great many decks by many, many companies, and this would have to be one of my favorites. This one here took me by surprise, I've got to say. It is very, this is the backing, it's very shadow. It's by Sunshine Connolly and Anna Novas, I think, if I remember correctly. The artwork is stunning. It really focuses on the shadow aspect of the self, which I think is a very witchy, occult kind of concept. And it has you disassembling these hindering patterns in your life. I'm always, I think it might be my Scorpio rising, but I'm always looking at essentially my shit, right? I want to know where it is. Like I don't want to be triggered unnecessarily. It's my absolute duty to control myself wherever I go and to be in control of my emotions and to be emotionally mature. And in order for me to do that, I need to understand where my triggers are. I need to understand what's going to rock my boat, what's going to upset me. And this deck came at a time where I genuinely needed it. I had just had open heart surgery and I was having a conversation with my beautiful bestie, Gordon White of Rune Soup. And he and I were talking about how previously to my open heart surgery, how the heart is such a represented center of who you are. It represents feelings, emotions, etc. And I had always been called a bit of a stone heart. Like people would cry at things that I would never cry at, and I'd be thinking, why are you shedding tears over this? I had my open heart surgery and all of a sudden something was unblocked for me. Now I cry at the drop of a hat. I see a mother doing something sweet to her child in a public place and just being loving and caring, and it makes me want to cry. I now get a cuddle from my children, like a really good nourishing cuddle from my children, and it makes me want to cry. It's like I have this enormous life, 40 years worth of feeling that has just sort of bubbled up to the surface, and I will cry at the drop of a hat now. I probably will cry in a commercial. I don't watch TV, but you know, the point of it is that I probably would. I've heard of people crying at like those puppy toilet paper commercials, and I'm like, that was stupid. But now I'm like, oh God, don't put one of those in front of me. I just don't know how I'd react. So this one here has been so helpful to that overly emotional kind of part of me that was sort of like unleashed, or that surfaced after this life-changing surgery that I had. It's an incredible, incredible experience. You know what? It was just a vibe. All right, this next one has witch in the cover. Like, it's proper witch. It's proper witch, but beautiful, okay? Look at that gilding. Here's the backing. This is the Witches and Legends. I thought I was going to butcher that. And it features the good ones, the witches, the so-called tormentors. but really just the role models that I never knew I always wanted. This deck beautifully illustrates kind of the darkness of these like sacred feminine iconic figures in mythology. It's a great deck to work with, especially if you are working with crone energy or mother energy or sacred feminine energy in your witchcraft. I think this is a vibe that is such a good one. Like as we come to the deeper, darker part of the year here in Australia, like our seasons are reversed, in case you didn't know. In the Southern Hemisphere, it's currently autumn. We're edging towards winter. This is the time that I grab this deck. I feel like it's the stillness of winter that allows me to sit with whatever energy is most prevalent at the time. And I always like to reach for this one because it just gives me the good stuff when I need it. So there you have it. Such a good one. The last deck that I'm going to show you is this one right here. Do you recognize the backing? This is the Raven Wands Oracle by Stephen Hutton, and she is beautiful. There's almost a fae kind of energy to this one. It speaks to a story. It holds an energy and an essence of something wilder and untamed. There's a glorification of the wilderness in this one that I find really attractive. It's rather poetic, enchanting. It pulls you in. It's just gorgeous. It's just, there's a little wind in the willows here. There's a little wild adventure, a little Belgariad if you are into old world science fantasy reading. Such a beautiful deck, such a really lovely deck to work with, and the cardstock is beautiful. It's very waxy. I just love it. I think it's such a gorgeous deck to work with. I did have another deck that I wanted to show you, but I can't find it right now. So I'm going to leave it for the next one, perhaps. But it is I'm sad that I couldn't find it for this one. Nevertheless, that was the Raven Wands Oracle. You know what I'm going to ask now, don't you? What are some of your favorite oracle decks that are witchy in nature, that aren't overtly witchcraft related or titled, if you will? I love me some witchy decks. I really do. It fits into what I like to work with when I am doing client readings or simply pulling cards for myself, which I do an inordinate amount. I am very guided by my cards, I must say, and I'm very grateful to be able to read my own cards in a way that helps me to get the most out of my own life. And so it makes me happy to discover new decks. It makes me happy to work with these beautiful decks that bring these different energies into the equation, that helps me to really open up my mind and to see things from a multitude of perspectives. I never ever want to be a rigid thinker. I never want to be closed-minded. I want to be able to sort of see from other people's perspectives and to look at things from a multitude of angles. And the more decks that I have at my disposal, the better I feel I can achieve that. Because every deck is it's a lens, a unique lens of its own. And you get the privilege of looking through that lens for the time that you're working with that deck. And then you move to another deck and then you're looking through another lens. And that's the beautiful part about being a collector. I'm not trying to influence you to be a collector. It's its own nightmare, let me tell you, okay? I live in a tiny home. I have nowhere to store things, okay? That is my plight. I put this on myself. I did this to myself. Nevertheless, I want to thank you for sitting here with me on my birthday week and having a look at some of these beautiful witchy decks that just bring me so much joy and really help to ground my practice in a way that is so enjoyable to me as a person. This is a very unique experience that I'm trying to share with you. It's something that I get an enormous amount of joy out of. And so if some of these decks don't resonate with you at all, that's totally okay, because again, this is my point of view that I would like to share with you. But if they do, that's fantastic as well. And I would love to hear which oracle decks scream witchy energy to you without being overtly witchy. And with all of that said and done, my beautiful souls, I am wishing you so much love, luck, peace, and joy. Take care of yourself, and I will chat to you again soon. Mwah! Bye!